So when I was in college, I was living in Houston, and I got a phone call one night from my normally stoic, sort of level-headed mom. She was just in tears, sobbing. She'd had a huge row with my sister, who was in high school at the time. They lived back in West Texas, where my sister and I had grown up, and my sister Christy really, really upset her. They'd been sort of clashing for a while because I was gone and Dad had disappeared forever, and it was just them in the house. And she was about 15, and she was occasionally stealing the car and going out and partying with people, and Mom was really not down with that. And so one night when my sister had come home, they'd gotten into this huge fight, and my sister had called her a lot of names and had called her a bitter old lesbian. And my mom is on the phone with me. She's just sobbing. She's inconsolable. She's like, "You don't think I'm a lesbian, do you?" I'm like, "No, Mom, you're not a lesbian, so no, it's fine." And I called my sister and I'm like, "The fuck is wrong with you? Call Mom names? That's not cool. She's not a lesbian. We're her kids. Be nice." She said, "Okay." Then shortly after I got off the phone with my sister, over the next couple of days, I got to thinking about this. And I remembered a time when I was in high school, and I'd been gone all summer with my dad in Montana. And my collection of girly magazines that I had stolen from beneath my parents' bed when my dad had moved out, I'd stolen them and put them in this puzzle box, and I showed them to my friends. I'm like, "Hey man, I got nudie magazines. You want to check this out?" I came back that summer in this puzzle box because I was ready to look at some porn. I hadn't seen any porn all summer. I was having to imagine things with my mind, and I don't like doing that much work. My box was empty. And Mom said, in a chat we had, she said, "Don't ever touch my stuff again. Do you understand?" I said, "Yep. I understand." I thought about that, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's a little weird. Why would she keep Dad's girly mags?" And then I got to thinking about all of the art that she had around her room after Dad left, and she had begun what I can only describe as a museum of topless, naked women art all around the place. One giant painting of a topless, very busty woman in a nice dress. And this big ashtray that was like a statue of a naked woman holding up cigarette butts, I guess. And I'm like, "Oh no, Mom actually is gay, and she just doesn't know to tell us." And I'm like, "I don't know what to do with this." And I wanted to call her and tell her that, yeah, that this made, all of a sudden, this made sense. And I chatted about it a couple of years later with my sister. I did not call my mom for a while. As my sister got to be an adult, we talked about it, talked about that night. And Mom had been so upset that I didn't feel like it was something that maybe she couldn't reconcile it with her. So, we grew up in this conservative, homophobic environment. I was a huge homophobe when I was in high school. It took me to getting to college to get out of that. And so I didn't know if Mom couldn't deal with it. And we always had this intention. My sister and I always discussed it. The idea of calling Mom and saying, "Mom, it's okay. I know you're a lesbian, and we love you." And she got a little bit more withdrawn and died early at 62. And I always kind of wonder if she'd been alive today, if we'd have just gotten over that awkward moment, and one of her children had called her and told her we knew who she was and that we loved her.